All right, guys, welcome back to another Mac podcast. I'm kind of going solo today, and I want to go over a topic that I get asked all the time, and it's kind of like, how do I start my game in business? How do I take the leap of faith? How do I build $1 million plus company? And it's a lot of it's what the 1% know, but I feel like the 99% either don't know or won't do anyway. So I want to just give you some tips and tricks of what's helped me basically go from literally I lived in a trailer park with my family through poverty. Today we'll do over $20 million in construction and, another probably $15 million in development work, and, it's just growing exponentially now. From where I was at, I'm 35 now, and I started in business when I was 21, and, things have just grown and kept growing. And how did I get though from the poverty mindset, the mindset where I just didn't learn that from my parents, right? Like my dad, I started with him in his construction company, but what he taught me was where I think a lot of people should understand that they don't do everything yourself. That's what my dad is like. I'm the best help. We poured a lot of concrete, and he's like, I'm the only one that runs a concrete saw. I'm the only one that smooths the concrete, whatever, finishes, bowl floats concrete. So it's like, how do you get from that mindset as being taught as a kid? I've been pouring concrete next to my dad from 6 to 20, right? So that's the only mentality I knew, was how to work really hard and how to, he never really delegated anything to me, so I never got to grow. And he never taught me the business side of things. So how did I start learning? How did I take the leap of faith? I think, in business, not everyone knows that they're an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is more risk adverse. So I'm a person that's willing to take on some calculated risk, and I'm willing to feel pain for future success. Yes, I'm going to make less money probably going out on my own right away. And it's scary because I'm not going to have a job, but I'm willing to delay the gratification for a brighter future. That's what us entrepreneurs do. We take on some risk. We don't know if it's going to pan out. Probably most times it doesn't. It goes to zero. And we're like, shoot, I'm going to cry and I'm going to go get a job again. Yeah, you can do that. But most entrepreneurs don't do that. They're very resilient. They're very gritty. And they, hey, what can I do next? And you can even say the billionaires and the guys who went down in the '08 crash, think about those guys. These are huge developers, hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate, hundreds of millions of dollars in stocks, whatever. Now, you got to think about those guys. They all went to zero. Well, they came back, right? They figured it out again. They were able to come back. And you got to think, say Elon Musk goes to zero. Is someone willing to bet on Elon Musk again as an entrepreneur? Damn straight. You can get into Elon Musk's brain. You know what? He's done it. He's got the knowledge. He's got the skills. You never lose that. And so that's kind of the first step as being an entrepreneur. So if you're working a W-2 job, it's educate yourself. I preach this to everyone within my companies, everyone that I talk to. It's what are you doing to educate yourself? Are you curious about something? Are you learning about something and you're not listening to podcasts, you're not reading any books, you're not helping yourself at all increase your skills or knowledge. I guarantee Elon Musk has done all those things. He's also ran very big companies. He's been a CEO of Twitter, X, whatever, and he's done Tesla. He's done all these different things. He started PayPal from scratch. If he goes to zero, I guarantee someone's going to jump on his back, and it's going to be a big investor because he has all these skills and knowledges. You just don't develop them really quickly. It's not overnight. But all this success, and it changes, and his skills and power are so knowledgeable now that he knows how to make money and what makes the most money to come back from zero, right? So someone's willing to take a chance on him. So, get very curious about increasing your skills. Get very curious about learning from other people. Don't be egotistical when you're in business. I think you need to learn how to ask for help. That's the second thing here. So one, be curious, increase skills and knowledge, right? It's as dumb as it sounds. Read a freaking book, and increase your skill set to be able to go out on your own. When I was 20, I knew nothing about business. I literally went to college for 4 years for business. Didn't learn a thing about business. Got into business. I didn't even know how to open an LLC. I just Googled it, right? Like Google it or YouTube. Got curious again. And the second thing is to get vulnerable. Like it took me, like, even though I got curious and I did learn some things, I'm learning everything on my own, trying to figure out, making mistakes, doing dumb stuff. And I maybe just had an ego when I started in business from 21 to like 27 that I just didn't want to ask anyone for help. I'm going to do it all myself because that's what Dad taught me, right? That was how I was bred. That's how I was told to do things. And so I started asking for help. I started finding mentors. I started seeing people in front of me. Instead of seeing them as a competitor, I started asking them for help. So, the best mentor you can have is someone a couple years in front of you. Don't find the old guy that has 40 years experience and, he can mentor you, but that's like a life mentor. Business changes, life changes. How he grew a business is way different how people are doing business today. So make sure that you're asking people for help is the second thing. And find yourself a mentor. And one mentor doesn't fit all. It's not a business mentor, a life mentor, a physical mentor, health mentor, right? Like these are different mentors. So find one for one area of life that you really want to stretch and pay them well and do it. Do what they tell you to do. I promise you will love the results. And I grew a hell of a lot quicker in the last 7 years than I ever did in the first 7 years of business. I'll tell you that. But okay, so getting curious and asking for help. And number 4, you have to trust the process of business. You're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. The hard days is the days where, I wear some bracelets that, there are a bunch of benefits that I support. A little girl we were able to help, Back the Blue. We raised a bunch of money. And there's lots of days you're going to want to quit. There's lots of times where people aren't going to wait that you do. They're not going to like the way you do things. You're probably going to have a big problem at work, happen, especially an entrepreneurial journey, or you're going to have problems. And that's what my dad always told me. He's like, hey, I don't want a bunch of people because I don't want a bunch of problems. Well, you got to understand that in my first 7 years of business, I had a lot of problems because I kept expanding every year. So things were great. On paper, I was great. Like I was adding 2-3 people a year. Now we're up to like 20 people. The problem was me. I was reliant on myself. I realized that like if I died or like, anything happened to me, I couldn't work anymore. Like the business going down. The business is worth nothing without me. So at that point, your business is worth nothing. That's when I got, I started trusting, building processes and building out a team. It took margin. Like if you were making 50% margin, like once you start removing yourself, you're removing margin, right? Like you're like, I can do this. I can do that. I don't need to hire for this. I can do that, right? Trust the process of building a business, not just building yourself a bigger and bigger problem or job. Like my dad said, he's like, I don't want to hire a bunch of people because I don't want a bunch of problems. Well, that was also the opposite way to think about it. You want to hire people, but you want to build processes and you want to build leaders that can build your company, right? You want to start removing things that you do. If you're not good at sales, start hiring a salesman. Hire things that are your weaknesses. That's where I started. And then just slowly start removing yourself. The faster that you can get to that step, I promise you'll be so freaking happy that you've trusted that you're going to lose some profit margin. I promise you that out of the gate. But after you get through that process and you hire out every job at that business, you now have a business and it is actually worth something. And you actually have the time freedom to go do what you want next, without a bunch of problems, right? Because you have everything covered within that business. So, third thing, just trust the process of like business, like build a business. Don't just build a big old thing for you to stay really busy at and work 100 hours a week at. That's not a business. You just have a really, really ramped up job now that hopefully pays you well. And most entrepreneurs pay themselves the least, and or zero. But, I'd say the fourth thing, make sure that you are paying yourself first. Even in all my years of my company, it's like I paid myself the smallest salary to keep all the money in the business. And, now it's like I need to pay myself first, because anytime you just put money in the business will eat it. Like it's just going to. And it's like, oh man, I did all this revenue and I have nothing to show for it and I didn't make anything. Well, because you weren't paying yourself first. And I think there's a book on that called Profit First. If you're on the small end in the contracting world, maybe it's a coffee shop, maybe it's something else. But, if you don't start paying yourself well, then why are you doing this, right? Like you need to start profiting from your businesses. And if you can't, you need to figure out a way to do that. You need to increase your revenue. Expenses can only go to zero. Your revenue can be infinite. Always remember that. No matter if it's personal or business, expenses can only go to zero. Your income can be infinite. And I guarantee your income has a lot more potential than your expenses to go down. So, the accountant people out there, I know they're going to tell me, hey, cut expenses, increase revenue, whatever. No, how about let's double revenue, keep overhead the same, and let's make a shitload of money, right? Like that's how I view things. So entrepreneurs and accountants don't honestly get together very often or get along very well, but that's just the way they see the world. It's black and white, and it's, try to live on the bare minimums. Well, I want a big business. I want to make lots of revenue, right? And I want to live my life how I want to. I want lots of revenue. I want a lot of cash flow. Let's not just worry about cutting our expenses to zero and living on the bare minimums. Like, how much fun does that be? It's time to start YOLOing if that's what you're doing. Like, just if all you're doing is viewing your bills and spending all the time like, hey, I don't need this subscription and all that, it's like, is your time better off like going to figure out how to increase your income? Like not enough people spend on that time of the deal, on that part of the deal. So, I'd say that's number 4. So, and the fifth one here is just like belief. Can you do this? Will you do it? Right? Like you always tell yourself like, yeah, I can do it, or I think I can do it. What is it costing you by not doing this? If you make, let's say $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, I want to make $1 million, or like, what is it costing you not to take the chances and make the $1 million in a year? It's costing you $950,000. That's the tax you're getting paid by not going out of your comfort zone and doing stuff. Every year it's costing you $950,000. And so if you start viewing things in those terms of not getting out of your comfort zone, not increasing your skills, not seeking out mentors, not trusting the process, it's like, it's costing you $950,000 a year. Add that up over a lifetime. You'll be sick. You'll be like, damn, I wish I would have done that now. I wish I would have believed in myself. I wish I would have came with a plan. And you can be working a W-2 job and listening to this and believing that, you can fail in business and still succeed. Well, I think if Elon Musk, say he went to zero, would you believe in him? Yeah. He's willing to take a risk. He's willing to throw himself out there. He's willing to deal with big problems. What some people deal with problems right now in life, it's like, is that even a problem? Like I know that I'm hanging out with the wrong crowd when I hear like their problems versus my problems. It's like, they're worrying about, the neighbor's dog moving into their yard and, taking a shit in the lawn or something. And, I'm thinking like, that's your biggest problem right now is your neighbor. So you gotta put things in perspective. You need to move up in groups. You need belief in yourself though, that you can do this and build your stamina up to take on bigger problems. Cause write down your 5 biggest problems and then show them to someone else. And they're like, damn, you got $3,000 in credit card bills. You got, it's just different perspectives, right? But write down your 5 biggest problems right now, and then go show them to your like best friend. It's like, bro, what's your 5 biggest problems? I guarantee that you're going to be able to put in perspective and/or be like, dude, these aren't big enough problems. That's why we don't make any money. Or, maybe you're like trying to make $1 billion this year. It's like, make sure you're hanging around with the right people, right? Like make sure the problems collide. And usually when you're talking to people or your friends or whoever you're talking to, they're going to tell you their problems. Like they're just listen, like they're bitching about the problems, or it's just how you are communicating. Maybe it's over wine. It's like, my sister did this. And it's like, who cares? But I just want to be a quick solo podcast on a few different ways that you can help yourself. Not be afraid to go out there and get it, because what is the tax that you're paying? Is it $950,000? Is it $800,000 a year? Maybe you make a couple $100,000. What is it costing you by not doing this? I think is what you want to start telling yourself. And once you do that, you're going to start seeing the world a little differently. And from a guy that literally started from zero to, building myself up into these 7-figure companies and whatever, and developing and, willing to take on some risk. And now I'm scaling, luxury storage and different storage facilities and acquiring things, and I'm creating courses and I'm creating content and I'm doing all these different things that are very, not really risky in my eyes. Some people would view them as risk. But I view it as, it's exciting to me, and it's, helped a lot of people, and I'm hoping to help more people and mentor more people. So, and just trying to document my journey along the way. Those are the things that have helped me. That's how it's helped me, literally going from zero, to doing something in the 7 and hopefully 8-figure land soon. And, I think once, I'm having a lot of fun, I guess 8 figures going on 9 figures, hopefully, it's at some point, right? Like that's what we hope for. So guys, I hope you got some value out of this. I share things like this in my email each and every week. Make sure to go to like my LinkedIn, or it's on Substack. You can literally, it's called Unfollow the Herd. It's literally everything. I know what I tell my kids. It even breaks down some of my deals so you can see what I'm doing. Like literally, I'm just trying to document everything I'm doing so you guys can go out and duplicate it. Hopefully learn from it. Do with these deals yourself. Guys, I appreciate you. We'll see you next week. See ya.